For today's video, we're talking knit or crocheted bags, such as this market bag right here. I'll be sharing with you a few things that I look for in bag patterns, as well as giving you insight into some patterns of both knit and crochet bags of various different functions. And at the very end of the episode, as a bonus and in honor of Earth Day on April 22nd, which is coming up, I'll be sharing with you a fun DIY that makes good use of these red mesh bags that oranges and various different produce come in at the store, so that we can keep these in use and out of landfills. So if you're interested in some fun and functional patterns, grab something cozy to drink and let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Midweek Ramble. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. For today's video, we're diving into the world of hand knit or crocheted tote bags, market bags, crossbody bags, clutch bags in general. I've been thinking a lot about knitting a new bag or crocheting a new bag, whichever tickles my fancy when I find the right pattern. And so I wanted to share that enthusiasm with you and give you some ideas for both knit and crochet bags that might serve a good purpose for you or give you something to work on as the temperatures start to warm up here in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere and you're moving into winter, this might seem a little out of season for you, but I encourage you to stick around and listen anyway, because you might find something here that actually does seem to fit with what you're looking for right now, and maybe you just want something a little bit different and more functional to work on as you move into your winter season. Now, I'm not just going to be sharing with you patterns. I do want to share with you 3 key things that I look for when I'm deciding which pattern to choose based on how I think that overall design is going to hold up and function for me, depending on what purpose I'm using it for. And then, like I mentioned in the intro to the video, at the very end of the episode, I'm going to be sharing with you a really great way to repurpose these red plastic mesh bags that come around oranges or lemons or any various different types of citrus produce in the grocery store and keep them out of landfills as long as possible. So stick around to the end of the episode, because the bonus I have for you is really cute. And we're gonna just leave these Cara oranges in the background to just, spring things up a little bit. If you're craving oranges at the end of the episode, you'll know why. All right, before I dive in, I do want to remind you that the QR code that you see on your screen right now will lead you to the show notes for today's episode, which will include all the links for the patterns that I mentioned here. You can find all of those show notes in the description box of this episode as well. However, if you're watching this from a smart TV and you don't have quick access to that description box, that QR code is there for you, so you can pull it up on your phone and follow along with me as I go. I also want to take a quick minute to remind those of you that are regular viewers of the channel, my birthday was last weekend. As many of you know, my husband surprised me with some airplane tickets to go see a good friend of mine this weekend. And so the podcast episode will not be uploaded this weekend, as I will be out of town, and I chose not to push it and squeeze in the recording so as to get it uploaded so that I can get myself prepped to leave town on Friday. So don't expect a podcast episode this Sunday. However, I do have something really fun that I'll be sharing with you in next week's episode of the Midweek Ramble. I want to mention that everything that I mentioned today in terms of patterns is featured in my favorites bundle called Carry. It's a bundle that I have on my Ravelry account that you have access to via the show notes and the link in the show notes, where I've shared all of the patterns I've mentioned here, as well as some additional ones that I have not mentioned here today. So definitely check it out if you want a one-stop shop for some really great knit and crochet bag patterns. Check out my Carry bundle in my favorites over on Ravelry. Now, without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. And the first thing that I want to talk about here are 3 key details that I take into consideration when choosing a hand knit or crocheted knitting pattern for a bag. The first thing that I think is really important if you're going to be knitting or crocheting any bag that's going to carry anything beyond cotton balls is that you have a really sturdy strap. Now, you can kind of proportion this depending on the size of the bag itself. If what you're knitting or crocheting is pretty small, like a clutch or something that's really only going to fit maybe a chapstick, your phone, a small wallet, I guess the strap doesn't have to be that sturdy because there's just not going to be a lot of weight there. However, it is important to keep in mind that a wallet and a phone can add up. So you want to make sure that whatever size purse or bag you are making, the strap is proportional to that, so you don't have a really big overstretching, sagging problem, which I see so often with hand knit and hand crocheted bags, whether they are bags that are, made by hand by people like you and me, or if they're ones that you find in the store. If the strap is too flimsy, it just stretches out over time and doesn't really hold up to the wear and tear of the bag. Another thing that I want to consider, and this really depends on the function of the bag and what purpose it's going to serve. Now, depending on that purpose or function, I want to make sure that the overall body of the bag does not have a fabric that's too open or loose or too tight and dense. And depending on that design, I may or may not want to line the bag with fabric so that little things aren't popping through the holes. You really have to keep that in mind when you're knitting these really cute bags that tend to be market bags or casual totes, because the fabric does tend to have that mesh look. And if you're popping things in your bag and just dropping them in there like a chapstick or something like that, it can go falling through the hole. So you really have to keep that in mind. So I don't want a fabric that is too loose, and I also don't want a fabric that's too dense. And that really just depends on the function. Making sure that you find a bag that fits the purpose as it relates to the size of the bag. So paying attention to the size of the bag depending on why you're choosing to knit a bag in the first place. So if this is going to be a market bag, you might want something a little bigger because it's going to hold produce or things that you purchase at the market. If this is going to be a date night bag, you might want something that's a little bit smaller or dainty, something that you can strap over your shoulder. And if this is going to be something that carries small little items while you're traveling, maybe something like a cute fanny pack is up your alley. All things to consider. So we have the strap durability, making sure the fabric is neither too dense or too open, and making sure the size of the bag fits the function that you're after. And then of course, depending on what it is that you prefer to do, whether or not the bag is knit or crochet. I personally think that even if you haven't embarked on the journey of crochet yet, this is a really great place to get your toes wet because you can find lots of really great patterns for crocheted bags that are great for beginners. So if you're thinking about getting into crochet and you want your first project to serve some kind of a purpose and have it be functional when you're finished, this is a really great place to consider starting. All right, the first category that we're going to dive into today is handheld or hand carry bags. These are bags that don't have a strap and you just carry them in your hand, kind of like a clutch or a handheld tote. And the first one that I want to mention here is a knitting pattern, and this is called the Folio Tote. I particularly like this one because I feel that it is a generous size for a handheld bag. I like the really sturdy, thick handle here. You do get a little bit of that stretch and sag because this is a knit fabric and that's going to be relatively inevitable, but it seems pretty minimal. I look at it here and you can see her holding this in her hand, and you do get a little bit of that kind of drooping down in the middle, but again, it's really minimal. This looks like a very sturdy construction in my opinion. This is a pattern by Alexandra Tavel, and it uses Lion Brand Hue and Me, which is I believe that's a 100% acrylic. No, it's a 80-20. So it's 80% acrylic, 20% wool. And that's another thing to consider too. You really want to consider what fiber content you're using for your tote bags. You want it to be something that's easy to care for because tote bags do have a tendency of getting dirty rather quickly because you're putting things in them, you're carrying them around with you, you're setting them down on the floor, whatever it is that you're doing, you want it to be relatively easy care. Now, for some of you, it can be 100% untreated wool and you have no problem hand washing it. Just make sure that you choose whatever yarn is at that care level that works for you. You want it to be convenient for your lifestyle. So, to each their own. Everybody is unique and individual in how they want to care for their knits, but just keep that in mind when you are choosing the fiber content for your hand knit bags or hand crocheted bags. Okay, this next one is also a handheld pattern. This is crocheted and this is rather generous in size, but it's gorgeous. I love this bag. I would love to have this bag. And this is called the Linja. This is a design by Mala Mills. Now, I say this bag is handheld, and you could absolutely put this over your shoulder. The straps are relatively deep enough that you could pop this over your shoulder. But I think in general, this is kind of like in the crook of your elbow or handheld by nature. And it does look like it comes in two different sizes. So you can see in the photo here, the bag on our left looks a little bit larger, and then the one that she's holding in what would be her left hand looks a little bit smaller. So there's a variety of different sizes here. The intention of this was to create a crocheted shopper that would have a similar shape to a plastic shopping bag. This is obviously a more sustainable and durable solution. And her designs in general, you just need to go explore her designs because they're so graphic and beautiful. I love them. I didn't realize until just yesterday that this pattern is only available here and not available for individual download, but from what I can see from the other patterns in this publication, it's absolutely worth having in your collection if you're just getting into crochet or you really want some great inspiration to get you interested in diving into crochet. So I will leave a link to the publication in the description box for this video. That's where you're going to find the Linja shopper. Okay, now we're going to move into over the shoulder bags. And I'm going to start this with a pattern that it's very nostalgic for me and takes me back to my middle school and high school days when I was shopping a lot at a store called Wet Seal. So this is more like middle school for me. So we're talking like, I don't know, like late 90s, I don't know, like 96 to 99, right? So those 3 years, I don't know. I was shopping at Wet Seal. This place was fantastic. They had like kind of this like cool grunge aesthetic option available there. And then they had some other like hip options as well. But they had really great bags at the time. And one of them that they had was this like powder blue crochet over the shoulder. I don't even know. I wouldn't call it a market bag because the fabric was much more densely knit than like an open fabric of a market bag. But it was just this really cool bucket style bag. I loved it so much. And I don't know what happened to it. I think over the years it just got donated or something. But this pattern by Pearl Soho, it's a free pattern, by the way. It is called the Twill Tote, is almost identical to this bag that I used to carry. And I love the color of the yarn that they've chosen here. This like tomato red color, that really densely knit fabric. It almost looks like it's using maybe like a herringbone stitch. No, I don't know, maybe not. But it's just a really dense fabric and it's absolutely perfect in terms of that style, that bucket bag over the shoulder style. I love this. The yarn that it's using here is field linen and it's a sport weight yarn and it uses 493 yards and it's knitting that on a US 2 and a US 4. So not super tight of a gauge, a relatively snug gauge, I would say. It says here that you'll first work the strap in the round and then you attach it as you cast on for the bag. And then you'll work the bag top down and in the round, decreasing at the base to finish. That just seems super simple to me. Depending on the stitch for the fabric, I'm not sure how complicated that is. It seems like a pretty easy project, something you could work up relatively quickly and have it working for you as a really functional finished object in what seems to be no time. And I'm obsessed with that color. That tomato red orange color is fantastic. Yeah, so I love this. So this is the Twill Tote by Pearl Soho. The strap is a really nice sturdy strap. I feel like ideally it could be a little wider, but the structure of the bag leads me to believe that you don't really need the additional width to make it stand up to the test of like carrying various different things inside that are of a various different weight, or having the bag be a little bit more on the heavy side if you happen to have more things in there. I think it looks like it could hold up pretty well. I would love to know what they put in these bags when they're, taking the picture. It's probably like a bunch of crumpled up paper or something, just so you don't have any distortion of the fabric, which I completely understand, but I would like to know how sturdy that strap is over time. But I love the way this looks, especially in that color. I'm just obsessed. So that is the Twill Tote, a free pattern by Pearl Soho. All right, we're in the same category of over the shoulder bags, but now we're going to talk about something that is crocheted, and this is a pattern that I'm obsessed with. This is called the Camellia Tote by Jessica Lau, and you guys, this just has like really classic lines. I love the stitch pattern. It has a really nice wide strap. It looks very durable. I love the base of the bag being kind of a tighter knit fabric than the rest of the body of the bag. It's just a classic bag. This is crocheted. It's crocheted in Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, which is a worsted weight cotton yarn. It uses 970 yards, so it's much more generous in size. You can have a ton of fun with color. When I look at some of the project pages for this, like I'm seeing one here that is knit using this really pretty gold Lion Brand 24/7 cotton, and she's got like a scarf tied to the handle. Oh, you guys, this is such a cute bag. And you could do some contrasting colors, a great way to play with those hand-dyed yarns that you don't know what to do with, get some really fun splashy color all over this bag. See, accessories like this that you're just wearing over your shoulder like a bag, that's a great place to punch up the color. So if you have yarns in your stash and you need to give them a place, you know, and a purpose, this is a great place for it. And if you have fingering weight, you know, hand-dyed yarns and you need worsted weight, just double your yarns up, marl them together, and you have a really great worsted weight, you know, for the most part, yarn overall that you can use to knit something like this and have some really fun splashy color and use up yarns that are in your stash. So that is the Camellia Tote Bag by Jessica Lau. Okay, when it comes to crossbody bags, I tend to think that these bags are your more small sized bag. They cross the body, so that strap is going to be much longer so that it can fit across your body, but that bag at the end of the strap is going to be rather small so that it sits nicely against your hip or wherever it happens to hit your body. So these bags that I've chosen here, I have two in particular, the bag is relatively small, the strap is long. Now, I know that there are some bags that aren't really considered crossbody bags that you definitely could wear across your body, but that's the style that I'm kind of going for in this particular category. This first bag is a hand knit bag. It's a knitting pattern, and it's made by DeVry or made by DeVry, and it's called the 10 Triangles Crossbody Bag. Now, I'm going to be straight up with you when it comes to finding really cute patterns for bags. And if you narrow it down to knitting only, you're very limited. I feel like your selection is just not that great. There's not a lot of cute options out there. There's just not a very varied collection of hand knit specific bags in general. And so finding a hand knit or a knitting pattern for a crossbody bag was really challenging. And this one stuck out to me as being one that I feel like was really a cute design. It could be knit in something really with fun color, or you can knit it in a really basic neutral as a more staple bag, but it's pretty versatile and it is knit. So if you are a knitter and you don't have any intention of crocheting, this could be an option for you as a crossbody bag option. So 10 Triangles Crossbody Bag is knit using super bulky yarn. It's going to work up really quickly. It only requires 200 to 300 yards using a US size 13 needle. Now, if you're using super bulky yarn on a US size 13, you're not getting a super dense fabric. You're kind of just getting a pretty standard fabric, in my opinion. And so my only major concern with this is that the seed stitch strap that goes across the body isn't going to be sturdy enough, that the fabric might not be dense enough. I might even drop down to like a size 11 to do that seed stitch to just get a really nice dense strap. But I don't know, I've never worked this up, so I really can't speak to that. But I'd really want to make sure that that strap is going to hold up. And this particular sample was knit using Ba Yarns t-shirt cotton. So that by itself will be really great at contributing to that durability. But if you happen to knit this in something that is wool or acrylic, that you're going to want to consider that, because that's going to have a tendency to stretch a little bit, as it's just much more a resilient fiber, generally speaking, than cotton. That's pretty stiff and, you know, sturdy. Definitely drop some suggestions for any of these down in the comments if you know of any that fit any of these categories, and I will add them to my Ravelry bundle for this particular video or for this particular category. I would like to learn more about some hand knit crossbody bags. I just didn't find a bunch, and this was the best one that I found. So if you have any others, definitely let me know below. Okay, this next one is a super fun pattern for a crossbody bag. And there are two different sizes here, one for a small person and one for a grown person. And it uses just basic cotton yarn. So the sample here is actually worked up in Sugar and Cream Solids and Denim, which is by Lily. It's that basic, I mean, you can buy this yarn at Walmart, cotton yarn, which is fantastic. It's worsted weight. You only need anywhere between 200 and 400 yards, depending on which size you're working up. This is crochet, and it's so cute and boho. It has that really fun fringe and the toggle closure. I just love this. I also love too that there are some of those little details added. You get the, I don't know, what do you call that? Like a half moon shape. I don't know what you call that little thing that the strap is connected to the purse. Oh, it's called a 1-inch D-ring, and it says that that is optional. So if you're not a fan of that metallic D-ring holding the strap to the bag, it is an optional option. But I love this. I think this is a really fun way to kind of play with color, to use a pretty basic cotton yarn. It has fun fringe on there, and it comes in 2 different sizes. That is the Isla Purse, and this is a design by Sarah Gross. And she has a lot of other fun crochet, functional crochet patterns as well. And I honestly just really love that fringe. Okay, this next category is going to be for your classic market bag. And the first one I want to include, I actually have a version of it right here, and this is called the Ilene Bag. I knit this bag quite a while ago. I want to say it was 2019. No, it was even before that. I can't remember. It was a while ago. And I knit this using yarn that I managed to recycle from an old sweater that I picked up at a thrift store. And we'll talk more about that in the very near future, so keep posted for that. But that's where I got the yarn for this. But this is just your classic open fabric market bag. However, this one is knit and not crochet. So many market bags that you find like this and you find patterns for are crocheted, and there's a reason for that. I particularly think it's because you can get that really great meshy fabric in far less time. However, it does require more yarn typically. Knitting, it just requires a little bit more time. However, this one is hand knit. The fabric is beautiful. I love the stitch that is created here. I love this kind of bottom situation happening here, how it's just your basic stockinette at the bottom. It gives it a little bit of a durability down at the bottom there. And what I really love about this, I feel like it's the best part of this whole pattern, is this really nice wide strap. I don't really remember how the edges of the strap are constructed. I know I've talked about this recently on a video, but you can see here that it has this like I-cord edging so that it rolls over and doesn't curl. But I love that. It's easy to work up. I remember it being really easy, and I just remember it being really durable, and it would hold up to a lot of weight in the bag. Now you can see here that it requires some mending. I have a hole that I need to fix. But other than that, I really, really love this bag. This is a fantastic option for kind of like your classic market bag that is knit and not crocheted if you tend to just be a knitter and you don't have any interest in venturing into crochet. So this is a great option. So this is the Ilene Bag by Hannah Mason. Okay, this next one I really love because it's just so chic. Now that was knit, this one is crocheted. This is called the Cove Tote Bag. It's designed by Caitlin Bartold, and it is crocheted using Lion Brand Rewind, which is a bulky weight recycled polyester and rayon yarn, which is fantastic for a project like this because it's going to hold up to the wear and tear. Polyester is a great one for something like this that you really need a lot of strength, and then that rayon is going to add that additional durability in there, and it's going to give you a bag that lasts a long time. Now, what I love about this bag, I love its classic kind of romantic vibe. I love that you see the picture of her here with flowers in the bag. It definitely feels like that kind of bag that you would take with you to the flower market. It's just, I don't know, there's just something very classic about it. However, it could also just be your everyday purse or your everyday bag. It could be a project bag for a larger project. I just think it's a really classic style of bag, very generous in size, has a fantastic box bottom structure. I don't know, it's just really an overall classic market style bag, and I love that. I love that really deep square handle structure going on there. I don't know, I love this. I really love it. Like I'm starting to consider this. The only thing I wonder about is how that shoulder strap is constructed. I mean, it can't be that complicated, right? I don't know, it's just a great looking bag. And the yarn looks really pretty as well. So that is the Cove Tote Bag by Caitlin Bartold. Okay, the next category I want to cover here are produce bags that you can use when you go to the grocery store so you don't have to consume all of those little plastic bags that they offer for free. Fill them with your produce like you would normally do, and then you feel a lot better about it. They don't have to be washed every single time, and it's just really great to reduce that kind of single-use plastic consumption. Now, these bags are fantastic. You can purchase them on Amazon. I'll link to the ones that I have down in the description below. However, what's even better is that there's a fantastic pattern available on Ravelry to crochet your own. And they're super adorable, and they have really cool color coding features as well. So these ones are called Reusable Produce Bag, and they are designed by Elitsa Cherneva. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But I love them. They're just a classic cotton mesh fabric, but they have these cool drawstrings with that little pinch kind of that pinch closure so you can like cinch them shut, and they're 3 different colors, so you have a little bit of a color coding situation going on here, but these look almost identical to the ones I purchased on Amazon, and the color coding is the same. And I love that you can make them yourself. It looks relatively simple. The pattern is free. It calls for thread. I'm not really sure if it has any particular weight specification here. It'll probably tell me a little bit more. It's a free pattern. I'm going to go ahead and pop it open so I can get a little bit more insight into the yarn. So it says here, samples are made using cotton thread, NM 50/6, 100 grams, 830 meters, 2 to 3 millimeter diameter nylon paracord for the drawstring. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much all it's giving me. I know that if you go to a craft store, they have the cotton thread section, and I'm sure that's a pretty basic classification for a cotton thread, and I'm sure it's not very difficult to find. Of course, you could also just use something that you have in your stash and go from there. And you want this to be relatively easy care because, I mean, it's going to be holding produce, it's going to get dusty, it's going to get a lot of stuff on it. Eventually, you're going to want to wash them, and you want to choose something that is, you know, perfect for how you plan on caring for your knits. Okay, this next one is a much more kind of trendy, cute produce bag. I love the way it looks. I love the yarn that was used here, and I love the fact that it's just kind of like your basic, almost like granny square fabric, or that triple crochet cluster, you know, 3 double crochet cluster. I don't know what you call that, but I just love the fabric. This is the Terra Produce Bag, another free pattern. How cute is that? Look at this photo. I love that bright green color from the limes, and look how cute is this produce bag. And you can use some funky yarns. I love this one where you have just a plain neutral yarn with that cute speckled or whatever contrasting drawstring up there. This uses either Lion Brand 24/7 cotton or Lion Brand Comfy Cotton Blend, which I think I have a Comfy Cotton Blend. I don't know. But it's worsted weight, 50 to 60 yards per bag. A great way to bust some stash yarn if you have it. And who cares what it's made of? I mean, if you have a bunch of stash yarn that's merino wool and you need to find a good place to use it that's functional, that you know you're going to get use out of, throw it into a market bag or throw it into a produce bag. Who cares if it's merino wool? It'll just be really bougie produce bags. Everybody loves a bougie produce bag from time to time. Ugh, these are so cute. Oh, it looks like somebody even used it in this picture here. Somebody even used it as a produce hammock. How cute. Okay, loving that. So that is a design by Laura Vargas, and it is called the Terra Produce Bag, and it's a free pattern, and it's crocheted, and I love it. I love produce bags. Get on the produce bag bandwagon. Okay, as promised, I have a bonus DIY that I want to share with you as a way to upcycle or repurpose these little orange or red mesh bags that come around citrus produce at the grocery store. Like I said, you usually cut into them, you dump your fruit out wherever you're going to store your fruit, and then these get chucked into the recycling or into the trash can or what have you. And they're just not great for the environment, to be completely honest. It'd be nice to have something to do with those that becomes functional and is a great way to, reduce, reuse, repurpose, recycle, all of these things. And I found a really cute kind of pattern for just that. And these are called, and I think the reason I found this is because I was searching produce bag patterns, and produce bag is in the title, but it is upcycled produce bag pot scrubbers. You guys, these are so cute. So I'm showing you this photo here. They're little pot scrubbers, and what's been done here is that mesh fabric back there, or whatever that situation is, has been crocheted with a strand of kitchen cotton by Lion Brand. You can use any cotton thread that's like a worsted or Aran weight, and it's been kind of worked with it to create this scrubby texture. Like you can see it here. It's being crocheted with the cotton thread into a cute little scrubby. And I know that's probably not the most pleasurable to crochet with, but it's not going to take you very long to complete one scrubby. You could probably work up a ton of little scrubbies, like, I don't know, maybe like 5 scrubbies with one produce bag, just like this. Keep some for yourself, give some to your neighbors or your friend. And every time you get oranges, work up a few of these and give them out to people so that these don't end up in a landfill, right? Like if each of us did one little thing to keep stuff like that out of a landfill for as long as possible, imagine, you know? So I love this. I'm definitely going to be doing these with that over there. I want to have a way to repurpose that and feel a little bit better about, you know, that kind of consumption of single-use plastic. I guess this is just turning it from single-use to multi-use, and that's a step in the right direction in my opinion. So these are the upcycled produce bag pot scrubbers. The pattern is free. It uses worsted weight or Aran weight cotton. It doesn't matter what brand you're using as long as it's cotton, because it's going to get wet. You're going to need to wash them so they don't get gross and funky. You definitely want to stay away from anything that's like synthetic or wool, because it's just not, I mean, I don't know, maybe wool, there's an argument for wool being great for something like this, but I love this. Keeps your dishes clean and mesh produce bags out of the landfill at the same time with a simple crochet pot scrubber pattern. Perfect Earth Day craft idea you can use year round. How perfect. I mean, Saturday's Earth Day, folks, April 22nd. So make a few of those, celebrate Earth Day, do something good to reduce your, you know, plastic consumption footprint. We're all just doing our best. And that's, like I said, a step in the right direction. Okay, guys, speaking of Earth Day, I want to let you know that even though I won't be here this weekend for the podcast episode, I'm planning on doing a make-along for Earth Day to celebrate Earth Day, and it's going to be more of like a celebration of Earth Week. So you're going to learn about this make-along next Wednesday. If you're interested in knitting or crocheting your own bag, whether it be a market bag or an over-the-shoulder bag or a produce bag or what have you, and you want to participate in an Earth Week themed make-along, stay posted for next Wednesday's midweek ramble. I have thoughts, I have ideas, I want to share them with you, and I want to get into this Earth Day, you know, make-along thing that we can launch here on the channel, because I think it's fun to celebrate our ability to reduce and repurpose with our craft. And what better way and time to do that than Earth Day? So definitely stay posted for next week's midweek ramble. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend this time with me today. This has been a lot of fun. I'm super excited about casting on in some way or form a new bag for, you know, who knows what. I'm just excited at the concept of it, and I hope you are as well. This has been fantastic and inspiring and just lovely to be here with you today. And if you took anything from today's video or enjoyed yourself at all, definitely don't forget to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, click that bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel. And if you would like to continue to support Wool Needles Hands further, definitely check out the Wool Needles Hands merch shop, which you can find at woolneedleshands.com. We have lots of fun conversation starters, including the So Lovely sweatshirt and much more. Definitely check it out. I'm sure there's something for you. In the meantime, happy making, happy knitting, happy crocheting, whatever it is that you're doing, take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye!